Right now at 5, police adapt to new drug trends by training officers to draw blood for DWI cases. Right now at 5, police adapt to new drug trends by training officers to draw blood for DWI cases.
And we've got a clear start to the day. It is going to be hot, maybe a couple of clouds here and there. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
Plus, the Joplin SWAT team responds to Easttown after an armed man enters a home and refuses to leave for 3 hours before being arrested.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Thursday, August the 14th. It was 13th yesterday. It's 14th today. Happy Thursday, and cruising right along through this week. Some of you, again, the first few days of school already under your belt.
Yes, they certainly are.
And you've made it through. And you will continue to make it through for the next 9 months of school.
Yes.
All right. Some kids not back in school yet, getting ready for all of that. And for those of you who've gone back, man, it got hot fast. I'm sure recesses have been cut short, and they will probably remain cut short for a little while. Let's start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh, and you can see we're looking pretty good. As I mentioned, skies are clear this morning. Quick look at our camera. 7th and Range Line in Joplin. Looks great as well as we get this Thursday underway. Some good news on the fog tracker. Not looking at the same dense fog that we saw develop yesterday morning, but we do have some light patchy fog in some of our far western counties. Of course, we'll monitor the fog tracker for you through the morning, see if anything does pop up, because some light patchy fog at least is going to be possible as we head from now through about 7, 8 o'clock this morning. Future track, not much to show. We have a low pressure system that's going to approach. It will not do anything for us other than just bring us those partly cloudy skies. Our winds today, light and variable, not much to discuss from that end, but it is going to get hot. It's already getting pretty warm. We're near average right now, 70 in both Joplin and Pittsburgh, so that's good. At least for now, we're pretty close to normal. Some of us a little below, and believe it or not, our temperatures should fall back another couple of degrees in the next half hour, 45 minutes. We'll get to our official lows into the upper 60s, and then from here on out, at least from here through the weekend, it's just going to be downright hot. We're looking at clear skies by 9, near 80, 90 by noon. Our highs today, mid-90s, so upwards of 4 or 5 degrees above average. It's our heat index values, though. Again, today they're going to start approaching 100 degrees. After we get beyond today, they will continue to climb and eventually start reaching 105, and in some cases, heading into the weekend, we could see heat index values upwards of 110 degrees. We're going to talk about that, this new heat wave that's starting to build in for us, and when we might see some relief from the heat here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the Southwest Missouri Police Department is making changes to help officers during DWI investigations. One important part of these investigations is often the blood work. And as Adam Woodbray shows us, the department now has an officer trained to do that.
The Aurora Marionville Police Department isn't the only law enforcement agency that has a trained phlebotomist on staff. Springfield Police, Monett Police, the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office all have them. The police chief here says that having someone who's able to come at a moment's notice can make a big difference when the minutes count.
Over the last couple of decades, the need for blood testing for driving while intoxicated enforcement has become much higher than the need for breath.
There was a time when a breathalyzer test was a bit of a gold standard for DWI investigations. But now Chief Wes Coatney says people are using more substances that wouldn't be detected.
Blood draw has to happen within a certain period of time for us to get an accurate account of what their intoxication level was at the time of the stop.
That's why the department sent an officer through a phlebotomy course with the Missouri Safety Center, and he's ready to go to the station anytime to do the work.
I've pretty much been able to set up my home life so that I'm ready whenever something comes up.
Sergeant Tim Swadley has been with the department for 17 years. He's also the school resource officer. He says it's been common to spend a few hours at the hospital waiting for a blood draw, but now it can all get done at the police station in just a few minutes.
So we had an issue a few weeks ago where they arrested somebody in the night, And from the time of the phone call to the time of me collecting the blood is about 20 minutes.
Now when you're brought in, they'll bring you in here to this chair, and that's when Sergeant Swadley will be doing his work. Be gentle with me too.
Oh, it'll be all right. You won't even notice.
Sometimes people who are arrested for DWI won't consent to having their blood drawn. And if that happens, officers can get a search warrant and do it.
When you're talking about a police officer who is most likely on the same department as the other officer doing the investigation, or potentially the very same officer who is doing the DWI investigation, that could raise some concerns.
Criminal defense attorney Adam Woody says for him, having an officer trained to draw blood could be seen as a conflict of interest, even though state statute allows it. But he also recognizes why it would be beneficial for a rural community.
They wouldn't necessarily have 24/7 on-staff nursing at the jails, and oftentimes ambulance districts are stretched too thin in the rural jurisdictions to really respond to do those types of things.
The department isn't able to test the blood on site. It's only able to withdraw it. The blood is then sent to the Missouri State Highway Patrol's lab in Springfield for testing. And of course, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, the Joplin SWAT team is called into the Easttown neighborhood yesterday afternoon and left with one man in custody. Police had initially responded to a report of a disturbance at a home on the 1300 block of South Furnace around 2 p.m. Captain Austin Wolf says an armed man had entered the home and was refusing to leave. The residents of the home were able to exit safely, but then a standoff began between the man inside and police. Around 5 p.m., the SWAT team began dropping flashbangs into the home.
Despite the officers' efforts, the suspect did not leave the house, and so based on a lot of circumstances, SWAT was called. And one of the biggest reasons is we received information that the suspect was armed with possibly 2 long rifles.
The suspect left the home and surrendered to police. Captain Austin Wolf says he expects a first-degree burglary charge among the charges filed. And authorities are investigating the cause of a trailer fire which took the life of a man in Webb City. It happened around 5 yesterday morning in the 4400 block of North Center Lane. Crews found smoke and flames pouring out of the home. One man, a 60-year-old George McDonald, was unresponsive and taken to an area hospital. McDonald later died from his injuries. 2 other people also suffered from smoke inhalation and minor burns. Authorities in Joplin responded to a serious crash on West Zora. It happened about 9 a.m. yesterday morning. Both drivers were taken to an area hospital along with one child. One driver was rushed priority after she was trapped for an extended amount of time. Both east and westbound lanes reopened shortly after 10 a.m. Well, a warning from Missouri public health officials. A resident has contracted an infection from what's commonly called the brain-eating amoeba. Now investigators are trying to determine if it's linked to the Lake of the Ozarks. Authorities say while it's not confirmed, preliminary information implies the patient may have been water skiing at the Lake of the Ozarks prior to becoming ill. The amoeba is common and naturally present in warm, fresh water such as lakes, rivers, and ponds. However, the infection is very rare, typically affecting fewer than 10 people a year in the U.S. The Missouri patient is an adult and is currently in intensive care. Health officials say the infection can not be spread by swallowing contaminated water. Instead, the amoeba travels up the nose and to the brain. People can reduce the risk of infection by avoiding stirring up sediment while in shallow, warm, freshwater areas. The symptoms include fever, nausea, vomiting, stiff neck, and seizures, and an alerted mental status and hallucinations. The disease progresses rapidly, so anyone experiencing the symptoms after swimming in a warm body of water should seek medical help immediately. You can look for more information at KOAMNewsNow.com. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, President Trump manages expectations ahead of Putin's meeting, warning of severe consequences if Russia is not serious about ending the war with Ukraine. Plus, quitting smoking could help beat other addictions. We break down a new study in Health Watch. And extreme heat hits the 4 states today. Chris has a look at your Thursday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Time now, 5:09. We'll be right back. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, we're learning more about President Trump's objectives heading into tomorrow's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin at a military base in Alaska. After speaking with Ukrainian and European leaders yesterday, the president said he intends to find out if a second meeting with Putin is possible. This all comes as the president says he may ask Congress to extend his federal takeover of Washington, D.C. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing.
President Donald Trump managing expectations ahead of tomorrow's meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, also issuing a warning to Putin if he thinks the Russian leader isn't serious about ending his war with Ukraine.
There will be very severe consequences.
Friday's summit seen as an opener to a possible second round that would include Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Now, there may be no second meeting because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
This comes after Zelensky and European leaders pressed President Trump to push for a full ceasefire during a video call.
Putin blefuje.
Afterward, the Ukrainian president said he warned Trump that Putin is bluffing, though European leaders say they hope the meeting is successful. Meanwhile, Wednesday night in the nation's capital, some residents of Washington, D.C. protested President Trump's surge in police presence. Earlier, he signaled plans to get Congress to approve extending the 30-day federal takeover.
If it's a national emergency, we can do it without Congress, but we expect to be to Congress, before Congress, very quickly.
Hundreds of law enforcement and National Guard troops have been deployed throughout the city, as the Justice Department says crime in the nation's capital is at a 30-year low. Jared Hill, CBS News.
The White House is launching an internal review of some Smithsonian museums, including the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the Air and Space Museum, and the National Portrait Gallery. In a letter to the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, the White House says it is seeking to, quote, ensure alignment with the president's directive to celebrate American exceptionalism, remove divisive or partisan narratives. Wednesday, President Trump also revealed this year's Kennedy Center honorees, actor Sylvester Stallone, rock band Kiss, singer Gloria Gaynor, and George Strait, and Tony Award winner Michael Crawford. Well, still to come, from a new thriller to a tribute to Stephen Colbert's cancellation, we take a look at today's Eye on Entertainment. Plus, Chris has a look at our Thursday forecast. Well, a star actor and director reunite for the 5th time, and James Corden weighs in on Late Night. Wendy Gillette has today's Eye on Entertainment.
Buying back stacking his records. It's a lot of money.
Denzel Washington stars in Highest to Lowest, directed by Spike Lee.
This project was brought to me by Mr. Denzel Washington.
What is that?
Highest to Lowest is a crime thriller about a movie mogul targeted with a ransom plot. It opens in theaters tomorrow. The British singer and songwriter Youngblood says he's still processing the death of Ozzy Osbourne last month. The two were friends. Osbourne even gave Youngblood this cross.
He was my North Star. He represented me. I was always a little bit out of the box, and always people thought I was a little bit too mad or too crazy or a little bit too much. And he really gave me hope and really gave me a grounding and helped me find my identity.
I need to figure out who I am as an adult, as a man.
Youngblood is the subject of a new documentary that features a behind-the-scenes look at his life as an artist.
James Corden!
The former host of CBS's Late Late Show, James Corden, is sharing his thoughts about the cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight.
I think it's very, very sad, that Late Night's not going to be there on CBS. It's very sad.
Colbert's final episode will air on CBS in May. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Las Vegas.
All right, let's take it over now to Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we do have some light patchy fog in some areas out there this morning, but nothing too crazy. We're going to break down the details of your forecast, talk about the big heat up that's on the way, and then talk about the possible cool down we're looking at next week when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 5:19. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News 522 on this Thursday morning. We're going to start again with the fog tracker again this morning. Not looking at the same dense levels of fog that we had yesterday, but we do have some patchy light fog in some of our western counties out there. At this point, it's nothing significant, but of course, we'll continue to monitor. If those levels change, we'll have it right here on the fog tracker for you this morning. On to the future track, you can see the spin out there. We have a low pressure system that's going to pass by. It's not going to do really anything for us, but it will pass by. The most it does is it brings in our partly cloudy sky. So we should start clear, and as we go into the late morning and into the afternoon, we'll start to go partly cloudy across the area. We head into our Friday. It's much more of the same, just those partly cloudy skies, not much to look at. And if you look close, you can see some of the clouds out there. And so another dry day. Future track has been hinting at maybe an isolated shower or two. Right now, the chance looks to be too low to really say much about it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. The heat, the humidity, and the daytime heating that we'll get will help fuel if we can get a shower or two. But honestly, it's not looking very likely at this point. As we go into Saturday, that might change by Saturday afternoon. You can see future tracks showing a couple more of these, but you can also see how quickly they die out. So right now, I think the chances are too low to throw anything in there at this point, but there might be one or possibly two little showers as we head through Friday and Saturday. The big thing is going to be our heat index values. Now today we talked about yesterday, obviously. We're looking at those heat index values climbing to about 100 degrees. You can see some maybe a degree or two lower, some a couple of degrees higher, but right around 100 degrees, and they will continue to increase as we head into the weekend. So now by Friday, we're up to 105 on most of these heat index values. Some may be a little higher than that. And as we go into Saturday, that's where we're really watching. Saturday looks to be one of the hotter days and one of the higher days with heat index values up there as well. 105, and in some cases maybe even up to 110, and that could repeat again for us on Sunday. So if you got anything planned this weekend, you're going to be heading out, you're going to be spending some time outside, you need to make sure that you're also taking appropriate precautions, especially into our western and southwestern counties where it has a tendency to get a little hotter out there during the daytime heating. So you want to just, again, stay hydrated, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Our heat risk, so this is something I do want to show you real quick. So today, because our heat index value is approaching 100, so we're at a minor to moderate, but it escalates pretty quickly as we go into Friday and Saturday as we start falling into a moderate to major heat risk across the area. And that continues for our Sunday, which again lines up with those heat index values. But take a look at Monday. It's down a bit. Still some major out there, but then we go into Tuesday and Wednesday and it begins to drop because at this point we're looking at maybe an opportunity to break free from this heat. But now that we're back to some of this dangerous heat, a reminder that once again, our extreme heat safety tips on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/forecast. Of course, that'll get available in the KOAM News app and the Skywatch weather app as well. We got all of those great resources for you out there on our site. All right, clear skies again expected through the morning, mid-70s by 8, near 90 by 11 o'clock this morning. Clouds should slowly increase a bit, eventually going partly cloudy as we roll into the afternoon. Our highs today, mid-90s, so only about 4 or 5 degrees above average, but we're getting to that point. It's just enough to start pushing us over the edge. Winds will be either calm or light and variable, not expecting much. And we'll finally get a southerly breeze tonight. Skies should clear back out by late evening. We're back into the mid-70s at south breeze 5 to 10. Upper 90s, getting close to 100 for our highs Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going mid-90s Monday. You see, this is why on the heat risk graphic, our heat risk drops to minor. We get some pop-up storm chances maybe Monday, Tuesday, but take a look. Now we're dropping back below normal for a few days, at least 2 or 3 days as we roll into next week, mid-upper 80s out there, and then seasonably hot again by next Saturday, low 90s. So really hoping for that nice cool down. The heat risk graphic is picking up on it as we've got that on the extended forecast, and some mid-80s after another heat wave would be nice. So hopefully this one will be just as short-lived as the last heat wave we had. That's Check Your Forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, clinicians are more likely to doubt the medical records of Black patients over white patients. The Johns Hopkins University study showed the language used in medical records for Black patients frequently differed from the language used for white patients. For example, saying the patient claims or insists they have symptoms Researchers say if health records reflect clinicians' unconscious biases, it can impact the quality of care patients receive. Well, quitting smoking can help people be successful in quitting other substances. The National Institutes of Health found people who gave up cigarettes had a 42% improved chance of overcoming substance use disorders for alcohol or other substances. The study's authors say smoking cessation programs could be used to help people beat other addictions. Well, your late nights on weekends could be putting your health at risk. A Flinders University study identified a sleep disorder they call social apnea, where doing things on weekends like drinking, smoking, and staying up late can disrupt the breathing of sleep apnea patients that can heighten the risk of heart disease, depression, and dementia. Because most sleep studies are done during the week, the effects of social apnea are being missed, according to researchers. And it's that time of year once again. We're getting close to the transition from summer to fall allergy season. The basic fall allergens can cause symptoms like itchy, watery eyes, sore throats, sneezing, and itching. Mold and weeds like ragweed, which start presenting around mid-August, tend to be the biggest culprits. Now, when the leaves start falling on the trees and the rain and cool nights return, it can cause some distress for allergy sufferers. Doctors at Mercy say starting your allergy medications now can help you keep your allergies at bay throughout the fall season.
Things like antihistamines like Zyrtec, Claritin, Allegra, and nasal steroid sprays like Flonase. If you start them at the beginning of August, then it has a chance to build up into your systems. If you've already started having symptoms or we've already started in that allergen season, you can still benefit from taking the medication. You just may still experience some of those symptoms initially.
Now, when the pollen is at its highest, doctors say to keep your windows shut and shed any clothes that might have been outdoors. That can bring pollen into your house and cause more stress. They also say to take a shower to wash the pollen off of your skin, but they say avoiding the outdoors is best. And that's a look at Health Watch. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, new teen drivers join school buses on the road. AAA urges everyone to stay alert near school zones.
And we've got a hot and muggy day. We'll have a few clouds here and there. Otherwise, we are dry. We'll have a look at your forecast, tell you how hot it's going to get coming up.
Plus, large cycling events raise safety concerns in McDonald County. Officials are working on a plan for more oversight.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:32. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Thursday, August the 14th, and we're trucking right through this week, almost halfway through this month now.
I know, which is hard to believe.
Oh, man, I'm not, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like the heat. I don't like 110 degree heat, okay, by any means, but I more so dislike the cold. I'm not ready for fall and winter yet. No, but I know there's a lot of folks who are, some folks already planning for Halloween. My wife's a big horror movie fan, so she's already getting Halloween stuff ready to go. It makes it feel a little cooler, I guess, in the house. Seeing some of the fall decor, you know, if you don't go outside, it might feel a little cooler. And anything you can do to stay cool is definitely a good idea because it is going to continue to heat up into this weekend. Let's start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. And we're looking pretty good. Again, we've got clear skies this morning. Should have clear skies through a good portion of our morning before clouds slowly begin to increase. MoDOT camera, or no, this is our camera. Sorry, 7th and Range line in Joplin, also looking good. Fog tracker, again, not as much dense fog as what we saw yesterday, but we do have some light patchy fog out there, not significantly reduced visibilities, but you do want to watch out for any possible changes in that. And we'll continue to monitor the fog tracker because some fog will still be possible this morning through about 8 o'clock or so. Future track, other than you see the wind arrows, and for us really, we're not even going to really feel a breeze at the surface. It's going to be a light and variable breeze at best. We have a low pressure system. It's going to pass by. It will not do anything for us, but it will pass by and bring us some partly cloudy cloudy skies, and that's about the most it can manage to do for us today. We're sitting at 70 in Joplin, 70 in Pittsburgh, so we are right at average for those temperatures. Some of us a little cooler into the upper 60s, some of us a little pinch warm. We had Stockton, Carthage both at 71, Bentonville the warm spot at 73. So again, it's eventually in the next 15-30 minutes we're going to start to fall back to our actual lows before we start to turn around and warm up, and that's going to be our last below average day for a little while. We're going to go near 80 by 9. Still should have some sunshine out there, and then by late morning into the afternoon we'll start to go partly cloudy. 90 by noon, mid 90s for our highs. So again, only maybe 4 or 5 degrees above average, but those heat index values today easily approaching 100 degrees. So now is the time you got to start thinking about those heat safety tips again, which we have on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/forecast. We're talking about how long this heat's going to last, just how much hotter it's going to get, and when some relief may be on the horizon here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, as the new school year kicks off, there are more than just buses back on the road. New teen drivers are as well. AAA is urging everyone behind the wheel to stay alert, especially near school zones and busy intersections, by putting phones down and keeping eyes up. AAA says a pedestrian hit at 35 miles per hour is 2/3 more likely to be killed than if the vehicle were going just 10 miles per hour slower.
The school bus laws are in effect for a reason, where if they have their flashing lights on or their stop sign up, traffic is required in both directions to come to a stop. You have a lot of kids, young kids that may be riding the bus for the first time, and it can be a challenge. So make sure you're following those bus laws.
Now, last year in Missouri, 106 people died in crashes involving distractions. Of the people killed in Missouri, 52% were someone other than the distracted driver. Officials in McDonald County, Missouri say large cycling events are raising safety concerns. The county commission is now working on a plan to gain more oversight for these events. Recently, there was a race that brought in more than 1,300 participants. County officials were not made aware beforehand, causing not only traffic issues, but also some safety concerns as first responders were unexpectedly spread thin. A planned ordinance would require organizers to get a permit and work out a plan with law enforcement to ensure safety.
The bike race supposedly coming here in a couple months. We've been working also with the bike race promoters, and they've been very cooperative. So I think we've got something we can work with and make this event a whole lot safer and still hopefully provide some kind of economic boost for the county down the road.
Now, the commission says because there are several upcoming cycling races and events scheduled in McDonald County within the next few months, they are working to get an ordinance implemented within the coming weeks. Well, the 5th annual dog swim, sponsored by the Pittsburgh Parks and Recreation, hosted a splashing puppy party that saw dogs and their owners come out for lots of tail wagging and cool wading. The swim was open to the public and required a vaccination record prior to entering the park. All donations were given to the SEK Humane Society.
So it all goes towards our medical costs. So right now, unfortunately, what we're seeing from a lot of intakes is that a lot of kids are coming in hurt or sick, sadly. We've had to do a lot of emergency surgeries. So the funds from this event are going to go straight to those kids with getting them back on their feet.
All different breeds took a break from the dog days of summer to splash their way to happiness under the guidance of their owners. It was a tail wagging good time. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Air Canada starts canceling flights today. 10,000 flight attendants could strike Saturday without a new labor deal. Plus, the NBA approves Boston Celtics sale to Bill Chisholm. The deal is valued at more than $6.1 billion. We'll have the latest. Time now, 5:38. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch, Air Canada says it will start canceling flights today ahead of a possible strike by its flight attendants. The union representing the company's 10,000 flight attendants has given notice that it could strike starting on Saturday if a new labor deal is not reached by then. Customers whose flights are canceled will be notified they're eligible for a full refund. The NBA has approved the sale of the Boston Celtics to an investment group led by businessman Bill Chisholm. The deal is valued at more than $6.1 billion. Chisholm will take a 51% ownership stake in the team when the deal is finalized. He'll have full control by 2028 at a price that could push the team's total value to over $7 billion. And Amazon says its same-day grocery delivery service is now available in 1,000 cities and towns across the U.S. The company is adding non-perishable food items to the service, which is free for Amazon Prime members for orders over $25. Non-members can order same-day delivery for a fee of $12.99. Amazon says it hopes to expand the service to over 2,000 locations by the end of the year, all as the company aims to compete with rivals like Instacart and Walmart Plus. That's a look at Consumer Watch this morning. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
This morning so far, we've got mostly clear skies across the area. We'll eventually go partly cloudy later today. Temperatures heating up, and they'll continue to do so into the weekend. Well, another full look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 5:42.
Well, an online retail giant is growing its grocery business. Details in today's Ag Day Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. If USDA predictions hold true, this year's corn crop could be a record breaker. The agency predicting a corn yield of 188.8 bushels to the acre. That's up 9.5 bushels from last year. Now, this is thanks to favorable growing conditions, with 72% of the crop now rated good to excellent. For soybeans, it's predicting yields of 53.6 bushels to the acre. That's up almost 3 bushels from a year ago. Right now, the soybean crop is rated 68% good to excellent. A plant at the center of a deadly listeria outbreak is due to reopen soon. The Boar's Head Deli Meat Plant in Jarrett, Virginia is set to reopen in the coming months. That's after federal health officials lifted a forced suspension at the site, saying the facility had adequately addressed the food safety issues. Now, the outbreak that began in July of 2024 killed 10 people and sickened dozens more. The company recalled 7 million pounds of deli products nationwide, discontinued liverwurst, and shut down the Jarrett site. Gone are the days of plain old hot dogs. Casey Cattle Company introducing Wagyu beef hot dogs. Food and Wine magazine calling them the best beef hot dogs in America, describing them as, quote, like eating a steak on a bun. They're available for pre-order only right now and won't ship until the end of the month. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or get updates over at agweb.com.
Well, here's Chris now with a full look at your forecast.
Yeah, we are going to start with a look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear, things are pretty calm, and our temperatures this morning not bad at all. MoDOT camera 20th in Rangeline and Joplin, looking back to the north, looking good so far as well. And the fog tracker also is improved even since just 10-15 minutes ago, where we've seen an easing up of the fog. And what we have seen hasn't been that much. We still have some light patchy fog in parts of northeastern Oklahoma this morning, especially around the Grand Lake area, but nothing significantly reduced in terms of visibilities at this time. But there's still going to be patchy fog, at least possible, through about 8 o'clock this morning. All right, you see the wind arrows. Now, while we really won't notice much at the surface, we could have a light and variable breeze at best. We have a low pressure system, as I've talked about, that's going to pass by us, and that's about all it's going to do is pass by us. Could bring us some clouds, though, and while Future Track is hinting at an isolated shower or two, really, I think the chances are just too low. Could you get a sprinkle here or there? Maybe, but again, the overall odds of seeing any kind of rain over the next few days is very limited at this time. Most we're going to see is the cloud cover. You can see on Friday, we go back to partly cloudy skies again. You can also see where Future Track is hinting at a shower, but really, I think we're going to be dry and we're going to just continue to heat up. Could be a bit breezier, though, on Saturday. Not like that helps. The most it's going to do is help our temperatures continue to climb. But by Saturday, Future Track is picking up on maybe a couple of additional showers, so we'll see how that plays out. Right now, again, I still think the chances are too low to do much with, but at least there's a slight chance, maybe a 5% chance of a shower here or there. Our temperatures and our heat index values are going to be the big story over the next few days as we go back into another heat wave. And again, thankfully, like the one we saw last week, this one should be short-lived as well. Nothing like what we saw around the beginning of the month and end of July, where we went 2.5 weeks with dangerous heat. We're looking at just a few days of it, but still, even a few days can still be problematic. So our heat index values today approaching on average about 100. By tomorrow, we could start reaching a lot closer to 105. Some of us, especially further south and west, may reach heat index values that will be higher than that. So you've got to make sure you're taking precautions. We do not at this time have any heat advisories in place heading into the weekend. Could that change tomorrow? It certainly could. Will it change tomorrow? I'm not in the minds of the National Weather Service people, but honestly, I would not be surprised if at least some of us, and again, especially our western counties, were to go under a heat advisory as we head into this upcoming weekend, because by Saturday, we're looking more at heat index values of 105, possibly upwards of 110 the further west you go, and that will repeat again as we head into Sunday. So you've really got to make sure you're taking precautions, staying hydrated. I want to show you the heat risk map. We don't bring it out a lot, but the reason I want to show you is you're going to see something that is showing up on the heat risk map, which will then show you in the extended forecast, because it's some good news. Today, again, just with heat index values up to 100, we're in that minor to moderate risk, but as we go into Friday, we're seeing more moderate, some major heat risk starting to build in, and then we'll see more of that major heat risk as we go into Saturday. By Sunday, it scales back a little bit, and by Monday, still some patchy major heat risk, but more of us into the moderate. By Tuesday, it's now getting more minor to moderate heat risk, with still some major out there. But then take a look at Wednesday, all of us into minor, and there's a good reason for that. We're looking at temperatures maybe falling below average again next week. Between here and there, though, we do have the heat risk, and so we do have our heat safety tips back up on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com/forecast. You just go to the forecast page, or you go to the forecast in the KOAM News Now app or in the Skywatch Weather app, and you'll have all of those graphics, all of that great information right there at your fingertips while we deal with another round of unpleasant heat. Should have clear skies through the morning, mid-70s by 8, and gradually clouds should begin to increase as we go into the late morning, early afternoon hours. And look at this, we're near 90 by 11 o'clock this morning. We've got highs today, mid-90s. Winds will be calm, or as I mentioned, light and variable. Our heat index values to 100. Skies will clear out again by late evening and overnight, back into the mid-70s. And then take a look at this. So again, we get dangerously hot, or at least that potential for dangerous heat, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even a bit in the Mondays. You can see we're still mid-90s. We get some pop-up storm chances Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, we're back down normal, but look at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now we're below normal, and that's why that heat risk drops to minor. So a little bit better out there for us before returning back to the low 90s by next Saturday. Let's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with sports.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the Nevada Tigers have established themselves as a winning program with 5 consecutive winning seasons. As the Tigers enter 2025, familiar faces will lead the way on both sides of the ball. Offensively, Nevada will stick to their roots on the ground with a strong run game that has become a focal point in recent years. The Tigers return a dangerous duo in the backfield to pair with their dual threat quarterback.
We've been very successful running the football over the last couple of years. We've had 3 years in a row with an all-state running back. Will Jackson was first team all-conference and first team all-Southwest Missouri and third team all-state. As a sophomore last year, had 1,400 yards rushing. John Michael Collins kind of had our eyes on him for quite a while. Very talented back when he was in middle school. He ended up with being our leading receiver out of the slot and also rushing for 1,000 yards too. And he was all-conference first team and all-area first team. So we know what those guys bring to the table. And then when you mix in a young man like Kellen Braden who can run the ball kind of like a fullback mentality, and it can also throw it a little bit. That gives us the opportunity to throw the ball a little bit too off the run action.
Over the past few seasons, the linebacker position has been a strength for the Nevada defense, and this year won't be any different. The Tigers will rely on their linebackers to lead the way in 2025 with 3 returning starters from a year ago.
I just think, having a good linebacker group, that's a big part of our defense, kind of the center of the defense. Push guys to fly around, make plays. We just got to give it our all every play.
They're not only physical and downhill guys that also drop and cover the pass well, they're also high character guys. got Jet Snyder, Drew Miller, and Kobe Buck are the three returners that you're talking of. Two of those guys were all conference, Drew Miller and Jet Snyder. And our linebackers definitely lead the defense. Our defensive coordinator, Neil Barnes, coaches our linebackers, and we've had a good run of linebackers here for the last 5 or 6 years.
Now the Tigers open their season on the road against Monette on August 29th. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. And that's it for sports. We'll be right back. Well, Mamma Mia is back on Broadway and at its original home. Preview performances kicked off August 2nd at the Winter Garden Theater ahead of an official opening night today. The iconic musical returns for a limited 6-month run after originally closing in 2015 following a 14-year, $600 million streak that made it one of Broadway's longest running shows.
I remember my mom had some ABBA records back in the day, so I remember listening. I got into a lot of different music because my parents they were into a lot of different music, and so and I remember wearing out some records, I think, as well. And that's right, yes, I played records back when I was a kid because that's what we had. All right, so here's what we've got for us today. We've got clear skies to start, eventually clouds gradually increasing, mid-70s by 8, near 90 by 11 o'clock this morning. Heading into the afternoon, mid-90s, partly cloudy skies, but our heat index values approaching 100 degrees as a possibility out there. Clear skies through the late evening and overnight, well above average. Now we're back into the mid-70s, and that continues for a while as temperatures continue to climb. Going to the upper 90s, pushing close to 100 tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Mid-90s on Monday, and through the weekend, heat index values could reach 105, and in some cases, upwards of 110. So remember, on our website, on the forecast page, we have all of our heat safety tip graphics out there, but the number one thing, you got to make sure you're staying hydrated or, if possible, staying indoors. Pop-up storm chances Monday, Tuesday, back to normal Tuesday. And then take a look Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Temperatures may even drop a bit more below normal. So maybe just another brief heat wave for us. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.